Hey guys, well, it's been a while since I've done any Mortal Kombat reviews, but I'm just gonna continue it, and this time I'm gonna have a look on Mortal Kombat 4 for the PlayStation 1. This has actually been the last Mortal Kombat that was released for the PlayStation 1, and this was brought to the PlayStation 1 by Eurocom as well. Unfortunately, that company has basically been responsible for making the home ports, I think, for N64 as well, and they definitely did the PC version. Now the problem with this is that they did a pretty shitty quality in making the actual ports. Now a lot of people don't know this because they just didn't have the chance to see the actual arcade game. I mean, Mortal Kombat 4 back in the arcades, because that game was really great graphically. It really did look awesome. Too bad that in most people's minds, what stuck in their heads from Mortal Kombat 4 is the quality of the home ports, and those were all pretty shitty. Although the gameplay was pretty much identical, graphically, not even the Dreamcast version was on par with the arcade version. If you remember, the Dreamcast version was an upgraded version from the PS1 and the PC versions. The biggest problem with this game is that once I get into gameplay, you will see, if you haven't seen this before on PlayStation 1, is that for the models they had used very low count numbers of polygons, I guess, to make it, you know, run faster or more appropriate, I don't know. But what this means that the graphics are pretty basic, very simplistic. So as you can see, here we are on FMV running. I think this is the biggest change and sort of the biggest plus compared to the arcade version, that the PC and the PlayStation 1 version have full motion videos for the intro and also for the endings. Well, I wouldn't mention that you know, these are of high qualities, but at least they sort of added something. I mean, this was the first time that Mortal Kombat ever had sort of full motion video in it. In the arcade you could see scenes rendered with the actual 3D engine of the game, which I think was pretty neat, and it was appropriate for the arcade machine, so I think that was okay. So I'm just going to start it up. So here we have the main menu. It's pretty much the same as on the PC version. You can fight in arcade mode, team matches, endurance mode, tournament, do some practice, and there you have the option screen. It's again the same options as you would have with the PC version, and I think also on the N64 version as well, more or less. I'm just gonna crack up continues a bit because I haven't played this quite in a while. So what I'm gonna try to do is to do a playthrough. As you can see, the character roster hasn't changed compared to the arcade version or any other versions, so basically all of the characters are present here. And in addition to the arcade version, they have now added Goro as well to the home port. I don't have the N64 version yet, but I think that version has Goro as a sub-boss as well. But he's definitely there in the PC version as well. As you can see, gameplay wise, it tends to look similar to the arcade one. However, I think it's a bit faster than the arcade version, and that's sort of a backdrop. Now on this level there were sort of floating reflectors or orbs in the arcade versions that were constantly highlighting the player's model, and those are fortunately back in the Dreamcast version, but not on the PC or on the PlayStation version. However, if you look on the graphics, I'm not sure how much it comes off from the camera, but the character models all look pretty basic. And now watch this, here's one of the fatalities. What happens is you can actually see that it sort of slows down. I mean, I don't really remember the technical details of the PlayStation 1 hardware, but that's pretty crap. I mean, that's I think that's not a PlayStation problem, but a problem in the porting over. So they should have just exchanged something with this fatality to make it run faster. Loading times are not that bad. I mean, it doesn't load as much as, for example, Saturn version loads for UMK3 or the Trilogy. Oh, by the way, Saturn. For some reason, this was never released for Sega Saturn, which is kind of odd. But if you are sort of into the old days of consoles, first of all, Saturn wasn't really meant as a 3D platform, and I think when MK4 came out, Saturn was already sort of reaching its end of the running life. I mean, there were no new games really made for it. Too bad, because I'd love to see how this would have turned out on the Sega Saturn. I guess it would have been pretty much the same. You can see it does load a bit before the fatalities. The other noticeable thing is, once we get to the next stage, is just check out the shadows. I mean, in the arcade versions those were looking perfect, but here it's like, you know, bricks, or I don't know. It just looks like shit. I mean, just have a look at the rock on the ground. It just looks disgusting. This isn't how it looked like in the arcade version, I can tell you. As far as the character models are concerned, like I said, it's very basic. Just look at Scorpion, how blocky he does look like. I mean, in the character or in the arcade version, they actually, you could see the muscles, and the models were very, very detailed in the arcade version. Here it's like the characters would be made up of blocks, and they just, you know, put some texture skin on them, for example, to make it look like the muscles or the clothing, and I mean, just pretty crap. I mean, look at his face, and I'm really pissed about this, because I actually really like MK4. It's been a while since I've been trying to get an actual Mortal Kombat 4 PCB for my arcade machine. So far I didn't have any luck with it. I mean, it's definitely not as good as the classic Mortal Kombat games, but still the actual arcade version is worth having a look at, and I'm really waiting for the time when it gets fully emulated in MAME. Right now, with the new version, it's pretty much runnable. There are some sound issues, and it's running slow. Graphically, it doesn't look 100% accurate at the moment, or I might even it looks shit at the moment. But still, I hope that someday it's going to be added to the properly emulated MAME library. Shit. I just get my ass kicked by Raiden. So like I said, I hope that it's going to be emulated sooner or later on MAME, because I want to play this in all its arcade glory. Okay, let's try something different, or maybe not. have one more go with Scorpion. Other than this, I think it's a pretty much okay port. Gameplay wise, like I said, it's pretty good. And for example, one additional thing that this game has is self-lighting, so to speak. I mean, just look at it. See, when I did the flame move, the lightning sort of appeared on my character's model, which is cool. And actually this wasn't in the Dreamcast version, so which was supposed to be, you know, in all terms much better than this. Like I said, the speed is a bit annoying. It just seems to be running a bit too fast. But apart from that, gameplay is okay, and actually this game was pretty much fun playing in a two-player mode. I think if they sort of would have included a proper boss character for this one in MK4 instead of Chinook, it's basically just a guy at the end of the game, and it doesn't really do anything or has any sort of specific moves. Like for example Shao Kahn did or Shang Tsung did have, so it wasn't cool, and I think that was the biggest thing that was lacking from this game. And also, instead of using FMVs and whatnot, you know, rendered scenes for the character endings, I think they could have just stuck with the regular pictures at the end. Those were pretty cool, and also for bio screens. And they could have sort of made a bit more, you know, background history for MK4. You know, not just that one cutscene with Raiden telling what's going on and the camera rotating around him, but you know, actually showing us some pictures about the battle and stuff like that. For the PC version that I have, which is a properly, you know, original box version, I did sort of get an MK4 comic as well, which is pretty cool. I liked it a lot. I mean, it sort of did explain how this whole tournament came together and what was the deal with the rest of the guys that were missing from previous MK games. Now this game by itself does not really explain that, so unless you read the instruction menu back and forth, but still, like, you know, with MK2 or MK3, where you had, you know, in demo mode the sort of story being shown to you, either in an intro screen or just, you know, various screens going on telling the story, like in MK3. So I think they should be bringing those back for later modes of Kombat. I mean, this thing was not there either in MK9. So, and again, just have a look how I slowed down. It's pretty much shame. Damn. I wish they would have given this game to somebody else to port it to home consoles, not to Eurocom. I think this would have been a great home version of Mortal Kombat 4 if somebody else would have made it. I don't think that, you know, the PlayStation 1 or the PC version couldn't handle more than this. Shit!
Round 2, fight!
By the way, if you can, just have a look on the shadows on the ground. and I did play quite a lot the PC version back then. I must say that I think these two versions are identical. The PlayStation 1 version is sort of suffering on graphical detail. I mean, well, I wouldn't call it detail. PC version had the same level of polygons and stuff like that. It's just that when you had a 3D card in it, everything just looked much nicer than this. Because right now this looks like crap. And also for the PlayStation 1 version, like with other home ports of MK4, you have the sort of camera bug as well, which means that sometimes the camera sort of retreats back into the background and you are not able to see all of the screen. Fortunately, this did not happen during this review yet. And here we are facing up against Goro, which was exclusively added for the home versions. But this is, I think, the worst version of Goro ever. I mean, he looks like crap. The moveset that he does is just plain silly, and his teleport stump is pretty much similar than the one that we have in MK9, as you could see. I mean by that it's sort of homing on the player. You cannot just counter kick it like you would be able to do Kintaro's teleport move in MK9, but he does always hit you unless you run pretty far away. The other pretty much annoying thing about him is that Goro does a huge amount of damage to the player, and just have a look at the damage that I'm doing at him. You know, it's barely anything, and now he hit me like 2 times, and he's already in the lead. And now I'm going to get maximum damage, throwback I think. Oh, I got lucky. Sometimes he can be pretty much pain in the ass, and he looks like shit, so it's not adding anything to the mix. And here we are up against Chinook, who I think could have been a great sort of boss of the game, if only they had given him sort of you know, unique moves, but they didn't. So it's just like a plain Shang Tsung clone without the flame scars, and oh my god, that winning pose is just atrocious. So there's no excuse for that. I mean, that was even crap in the arcade version, but still. I mean, just look at it. Is this how you imagine a boss fight in Mortal Kombat? That was a big mistake from Midway. They should have been cleverer than that. Otherwise, like I said, I think MK4 is a pretty much okay game. If you can, check out the arcade version, either on YouTube or, you know, if you get a chance in one of the arcades that still has it, because it's actually pretty good. Here we are at the ending screen. Again, this is pretty much sort of crap. I mean, just this whole scene was ridiculous, but at least now we get sort of an FMV. Now my problems with the FMVs in MK4 is that I think it's a good thing to have them, but not in the way that they have executed it. I mean, just look at them. looks like some sort of G.I. Joe figures. I mean, it's not that visible in this scene, but for example in Sonya's ending you can clearly see where sort of the arm is attached to the body, like sort of a doll. Just crap. Nevertheless, I did enjoy the FMVs back then when this first came out.
I needed the power of a spectre. You've done my bidding well, Scorpion. But now I must return you to the Nether Realm.
And that's about it for MK4 on PlayStation 1. It's definitely worth having in your collection, but it's not that a great game. Oh, the other funny thing is that here you could enter, you know, your initials, and then to not just type but say the names as well. I mean, if you would try to sort of pronounce fuck or anything like that, sort of dirty, it would just, you know, automatically override it, which is pretty strange, but so that's about it for MK4. It could have been a great port. It's not that bad, but it's not that good either. I think it's worth checking out. Gameplay isn't that bad. It's a bit faster than the actual arcade version, sort of like a turbo version, which is a problem, and the graphics are shit, but it's still MK4. So, and until MK4 is fully emulated on the MAME, I think this is a pretty neat sort of alternative to have along with the Dreamcast version. So see you next time.